Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I'm here every night at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time where we can relax and craft together, and I typically work on projects from beginning to end. We're taking a little break from our normal project. We've been working on the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt along, but on Friday, last Friday, I got the knitting bug again, so we have been knitting a little dishcloth here. So I'm going to keep going on this dishcloth. I'm using my new knitting needles. So I got new knitting needles in the mail, and you got to use them right away, right? So we're going to continue on this dishcloth. This is basically what we're making here. Just a simple wash dishcloth that you can use for dishes, washing dishes. And we are about to start decreasing. So I've started at just a few stitches, 4 stitches at the bottom here, and I've kept adding to it. We're making like a diamond, and I have a couple more rows, and then we are going to start decreasing. So if you stuck with me on Friday and yesterday, you'll get to start doing the decrease today. So, all right, I'm going to flip you around, and let's get knitting. All right. So I hope everyone had a great Tuesday. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you're stitching. So, all right, here's where we left off. I did actually, when we were done last night, I did actually knit a couple more rows. I watched a couple more episodes of the Tidying Up show on Netflix with Marie Kondo. I was watching some more of those, so let's see, how many rows do I have now? Or how many stitches, I suppose. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 39. Okay, so I have 39 stitches here. I typically go to about 45 stitches. So we got like 6 rows or so. And it really doesn't matter how big you go with this or how small you go, how many stitches. It's just kind of what you think would make the right size dishcloth for you. So I do have the pattern in the post here as well if you wanted to follow along. It's just 2 knit stitches, a yarn over where the yarn comes from the front, or comes to the front through both needles, and then then we start stitching again, and we pretend that we made a little mistake there. We brought the yarn forward instead of keeping it back, and then we just continue stitching. That's kind of what a yarn over is. So it adds a stitch. So that's where our increase is. So we've knit 3 stitches here, and then we had that yarn over after the second stitch. So that yarn over, it adds a stitch, so that's why we keep increasing. That's how come we're continuing to get bigger and bigger rows, is because of that single yarn over each row. And the yarn over also makes like this little hole in it, so that it adds like a little decorative border, the yarn over. But that's all we've been doing for our increasing rows. So we've been doing, the knit 2, yarn over, and then we're just knitting to the end. And that's what we're doing now. So Debbie, you're stitching with us tonight. That's awesome. I'm still trying to get used to these square needles. So far I think they're kind of fun. I'm still getting used to keeping the surface flat, I suppose. But like here I can feel just my finger on the flat surface. I'm using these collage square interchangeable knitting needles. It's kind of fun. New toy, gotta test out the new toy, right? I'm giving it a few days try. Oh gosh, Gretchen, that's a bummer. No phone, no internet. They won't tell you why. Hey Valerie, I hope you had a great day. I tied bows all day. Oh, so you guys, if you saw, we just got a warehouse, like an office warehouse for Penguin and Fish. We moved in at the beginning of December, and we just got shelves built into it from a friend. A friend came in with his crew and built shelves late this afternoon. So if you're on my Instagram, if you saw my Instagram story, I took a little photo of it just starting. I have to go back there tonight, and I will take a photo. I'll take a photo of it where it's at now. It's so pretty and cool. I love it. Oh, yep, John and the shelves. Yep, that's it, Robin. It was I think it was even a little video of John with the shelves starting. I think it was starting to be made. So I'll do another Instagram story tonight when I get back. So that'll be like 9:45ish or so. I gotta drive back over there. He's still working away with some people, so I'll go pick him up and I'll take a photo of the shelves because they're so amazing. It has like a little walkway, so I can put more boxes up higher, and it's just cool. I was saying earlier that it makes my when I was a kid building forts, it like is triggering all those good feelings of making forts out of the couch or out of branches or something outside. Oh, you're knitting, Josa, you're knitting your second stock for your 6-month grandson. How fun! So those should be pretty quick socks, I'm guessing. Versus full human-sized socks. That's one thing I've never knit is socks. And in my brain, it's because I have to knit 2 of the same thing. And I don't know, there's something about that. But I don't know, I think knit socks are usually pretty itchy on me. Like maybe I need to just use like cotton yarn like this or something. I need to find some all cotton yarn and give it a try. Because some of that sock yarn where it has like the repeating pattern, like they design a pattern right into how they dye the yarn is pretty fascinating, I think. Oh, you spend all day cleaning looking for your Splendid Sampler 2 insert. Oh, for the grandfather clock pattern. Oh my gosh. Leslie, that's a huge bummer. I hope you find it. I was nervous about that the other day too. So the book has John is here saying hi from Penguin and Fish headquarters. He's at the warehouse still. But yeah, so with my Splendid Sampler 2 book, well, all the Splendid Sampler 2 books, they have these fold-out patterns in the back, and they tear out. So you tear them out to use them, basically. And I couldn't find one of mine the other day either. Oh, Libby says that she lost hers and found it in her printer. There's 2 inserts, and I had the one in the book, but I couldn't find the other one, and it was on the floor. So I did find it. But yeah, I had to clean up my mess to find it. I had to clean up my little quilty area here, my little Facebook Live quilty area, and there it was on the floor. But yeah, I need to like wonder clip them or something to the book, or I don't know, something. Or maybe I just need to keep my area clean. I suppose that's a solution. Yeah, Robin says, nice work on the shelves. Oh, Gretchen, you were freaking out because you couldn't find your whole book. Well, I hope you found it. Oh, you got a clean sewing room now, Leslie, after looking for it. Yup. That's a good bonus, at least. Funny. Yeah, so I know we're kind of taking a little break, a little breather from the quilting, which is good. I think I like, especially for big projects like the Splendid Sampler 2. I mean, that is a hefty project, right? To do a whole quilt with all those different blocks. It's a big project, so I always get a little antsy in the middle of projects like that, and I have to just jump into a real little small project just to like cleanse the palate or something a little bit, or you know, just chill out for a moment, or get like a little win of finishing a project before jumping back into a big project. So I'm guessing maybe that's the feeling I'm having right now. Is like, I'm bailing on sewing. We're knitting instead. But Thursday, you guys, Thursday is new block day for the Splendid Sampler 2. Every Thursday, they kind of share the next 4 blocks that everyone will be doing together. So I'll clean up and get everything out again for that. That was the other thing. Quilting. Working on sewing again would require to totally clean my area. And that sounds too daunting. I gotta put the sewing machine back. The sewing machine is literally like 2 inches this way, but I have to move it. I have to move it the 2 inches back. Right now that's enough of a barrier to be like, man, I'm gonna keep knitting. But I'm enjoying playing with these new knitting needles, and it's feeling good. Definitely feeling good knitting. But by if we work on this today and tomorrow yet, if you can bear with me knitting a little bit more tonight and tomorrow, we'll have this dishcloth done, I think. So what would that be? That'd be about probably 3 hours, a hair less. I'm chit-chatty at the beginning and stuff, so maybe a hair less than 3 hours, I'm thinking, to complete one of these. And obviously it depends on how fast of a knitter you are. I'm just pulling some more thread off of here, some more yarn. Yarn off the giant cone that I love so much. This is that Potpourri, is the name of this, the color for this. It's that sugar, what's it called? Sugars and Cream? That's what it's called, right? Yeah, it's like Lily's Sugars and Cream cotton yarn. So I always use this 100% cotton yarn for dishcloths. And Lily's or the Sugar and Cream, that's just kind of what's readily available at Joann's and other craft stores. But you can use any cotton yarn, like 100% cotton yarn that you find at your yarn shop or online. But I like using this kind just because it's what Grandma always used to use too. The cone is new though. She wasn't using the cone as far as I know. I just think it's fun. I think it's fun. They do sell some of the cones at big box stores like Joann's and stuff, but not all the colors. I think I did link to the color, this Potpourri color, online, so I think you can find some of it online. But I don't know, maybe one of these days I was talking about this a little the other day, but put together some cone colors, and maybe I'll place an order for all of us here. Like if there's any of you guys, and let me know if this is something you want. Oh, Cindy, you purchased a cone of this yarn. Yeah, it's so cute too. This white with the like little flecks of color in. But yeah, so maybe I'll put together some of my favorite colors that I like, that I think maybe you guys might like too. Or you guys let me know what you'd like. Kind of like earthy tones or bright tones or just some neutrals like this. Let me know kind of what you would think you'd like for cotton yarn like this, or even embroidery floss too. I get those cones of embroidery floss every once in a while. I'd be happy to do like a big sale for it, like I'll in my newsletter or something. So make sure to follow the newsletter, and I'll come up with something for that. But yeah, then I can just place an order for all of us potentially. I think that'd be kind of a fun idea. So if you've been craving one of these giant cones of embroidery floss or giant cones of yarn that I've been using here, let me know, and let me know kind of what you're thinking of, and we'll see. I'll think about putting together something like that. I think that'd be fun. But yeah, it's just fun. So these cones, I got another cone with this blue. I think this is called denim, I think is the color for this. It's just a pretty blue, and it goes to white. This, I think when I knit these, I think I got 15 of these dishcloths out of one cone. So I mean, that obviously, that varies person to person, and how big you make your dishcloth, and how tight or loose you knit. I mean, there's variables, but I was able to get, I think, around 15 out. So if you need some new dishcloths and want to sit and watch a bunch of movies, then this is like the perfect project. You can make dishcloths for the whole neighborhood with that cone. They make like super cute gifts and stuff. So if there's like someone, like for a housewarming gift or something, you can knit like 3 of them and fold them up like this, and then maybe put like cute little twine, and maybe like a little decorative bit bow or something that you put in the twine, or like a little like thyme leaf or some sage or something, just cute. It'd just be like a sweet little gift, I think. A few of those. So I mean, yeah. Knit away, just like, this is one of those projects that I just knit for the sake of knitting. It's not necessarily like, oh man, I gotta like make dishcloths for everyone. It's more just like, I want to knit something and not think. Then it's this, basically a quick win, quick project. Ooh, that's a cute idea, Robin. Put a little recipe in there when you tie it up. Ooh, okay, now I want to knit like 3 of these washcloths together just to make that little gift. Ooh, I'm gonna think about that now. Maybe I will. There, now this has like a purpose almost. This knitting. I was just knitting to play with these new needles, but I love that. Knit a couple of these together, and it'd be just like a super cute housewarming gift. All right, so I have not been counting. Have we made it to 45 stitches yet? I'm not sure. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 40. Oh, one more row. We're at 44. So that was a good feeling. I must be getting close. One more row, and then we've hit that 45. We'll see what the 45 looks like too. I'm using a bigger needle than I did with that blue one, so I'm kind of curious how much bigger that 45 stitches is with the size 9 needle versus what I'm using now, which is a size 10. So my stitches are a bit looser on the size 10 needle because it's a bigger needle with the same size yarn. Makes it a little looser. Oh, they make a nice gifts with artisan soaps. Ooh, Barbara, that is a good idea. Also good. Oh, airplane and waiting room project. Yep, that's for sure. Yep. So I used to make these with just the balls of yarn. So I don't have any near me, but these typically come in cotton balls of yarn, the sugars and cream. And I think for those, I was always able to make, was it 1.5 or 2.5? I'm just going from when I was little, and I used to make a ton of these. So I'd always have like 2 blue ones. I'd have 2 blue ones like this, and then a blue and a white one, just like a little. It'd be halvesies for them because I'd finish the one ball of yarn and then start up the second ball of yarn wherever I left off with the other one. Gosh, I wonder what happened to all those dishcloths that I knit when I was little. Like when I was talking about yesterday, where I'd throw the ball. Like if I was at my grandma's house once, and I would just go outside and I'd throw the ball of yarn as far as I could and then knit up to wherever it landed. I made a lot of dishcloths that weekend. I think my, I don't know, my parents went on vacation or something and we stayed with Grandma and Grandpa for a couple days and I just knit that whole time on the farm. But yeah, I remember knitting a lot of these, but yeah, I don't remember what happened after I knit them. I mean, I don't know. I didn't just save them in my room. I suppose we had a bunch of knit washcloths for the kitchen, but I don't remember it. I don't remember anything after knitting them. So, yeah, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. This is just like my go-to. I just want to chill and knit for a little while. I don't care what happens with them. But now I'm really excited about all these like recipes and soaps and stuff. I just want to make a bunch of cute little gifts. Like this is one of those things you could just do all year round when you're just chilling and knitting. Have a couple cones like this, couple cones of floss or of yarn, and then at the end of the year or at Christmas time or something, just see how many you got, and then fold them up and make the cute little decorative gifts. I kind of like that idea. Maybe I'll get more of these cones just to have around and always keep it in my bag or something. Have a little bag going with this, or maybe I'll have to sew up Sew Sweetness. Sarah from Sew Sweetness sew up her yarn knitting bag that you guys were talking about yesterday. And you think Pensy Spices has a whole nutmeg and bay leaves? Oh, see, that would be just adorable. Folded up on a, like a little decorative centerpiece for your gift. It's those little things that make things cute and gifty. Like make the simplest things cute and gifty. All right, we have the 45 on here. Oh yeah, I wanted to see how it compared. So here are the 45 stitches, and so it's this big. I think it is a bit bigger than this. So here, let's set this one on top of here. Oh, it's not that much bigger. And this has been washed a bajillion times too, so it might have shrunk a little bit, but we're not that much bigger. I think once we stretch this out and everything and use it, it'll be a little bit bigger, but I don't know, about like that maybe. So here's the difference between the size 9 needle and the size 10. It is just a little bit bigger. It's a little looser. So if we look at the stitches next to each other, you can definitely see in between the rows a little bit more. In between all these like little bumps, you can see these little valleys in here. Whereas these, it's a bit tighter. So it's kind of whatever you're going for. I'm not going for anything. I'm just going for having fun knitting. I don't really have a preference. I do kind of really like this white with the little flecks in, though. That's pretty cute. But yeah, so 2 different needles, sizes, and just slightly different look to it. I'm assuming my knitting tension and the me variable of it all is probably pretty much the same. I'm guessing I'm not all of a sudden knitting a lot looser or tighter than normal. I'm thinking I'm pretty much the same. Okay. Oh, the knitting bag comes out, end of January. Okay, so that's Robin's talking about Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. And if you guys don't follow her, you should. You should jump over and she's got a big Facebook group and a big bag club and stuff, and she does just amazing bags that you can sew. But yeah, we should try and see if we can do that. I know she does videos of her bags, so we wouldn't be able to make the bag on here, unfortunately, but she has fabulous videos, and maybe I'll go get that knitting bag pattern. All right, you guys, we are ready to decrease. So the decrease of this pattern is a little bit different. It's similar to the increase because we're going to still do that yarn over. And we're doing the yarn over, but remember the yarn over increases a row. So you're wondering like, well, why do I want to increase a row when I'm supposed to be decreasing? It's because we want that cute little hole still. The yarn over gives us that cute hole that's kind of making our border here. And so to keep having that little hole, you know, this little edging that's happening, we have to keep doing the yarn over, right? But the problem with the yarn over is that it increases one, and we want to decrease. So because we're increasing one each row from that yarn over to get that hole, we need to actually decrease 2 stitches with each row, because then, you know, 2 minus 1 for the yarn over, that's 1 decrease per row. So to decrease, we've been increasing 1 per row. To decrease 1 per row, we actually need to decrease 2 because we're adding 1. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So the way that we're going to decrease is by knitting 2 together. So in the diagram for the pattern, it's like K, 2, and then TOG. That means knit 2 together. So we're going to knit 1 to start. So here's my just starting knit. And now I'm going to knit 2 together. So I'm going to isolate 2, and instead of just doing them one at a time, I'm going to go in both of these loops at the same time. So I'm in both right now, and we're going to knit like normal. So I'm just doing my knit. So there we go, and we're going to push those 2 off. So we've knit 2 together. So now we're doing that yarn over. That gives us the cute little hole. And now I'm going to knit 2 together again. And the knitting 2 together, again, is that extra decrease that we need because we're adding 1. So that goes around the top 2 like a normal knit stitch. And so there's those 2 that we knit together. They're coming off the needle now. So all right, we had the 1. We've knit these 2 together. You can see the double loops here. This is our yarn over to make that hole, and then we've knit 2 more together. Here's those 2 loops there from the knit 2 together, and that's it. So we've decreased 1, added 1, and then decreased 1 again. So that's that, and then we just knit to the end, and that's what we do every single time. Barbara, you finished your washcloth this morning using needles that were a size too big. Oh, and the 45 stitches worked. Oh, I can't read the rest of that comment. I'll have to read that later. Oh, you missed the name of the person who does the knitting bag. So Sarah Lawson, or just go sew, like SEW, sweetness. Just do a Google search for Sew Sweetness or a Facebook search for Sew Sweetness, and I'm sure it'll be the first thing that pops up. It's a cute little, I think, blue and pink logo. But she does some Facebook Lives a couple times a week too, and they're really great. So totally recommend checking her out. But yeah, she does bag patterns and videos, and they're all great. And Robin here is saying that she's doing in January a knitting bag. So I know she does like bag bundles, so I'm not sure if she's selling the knitting bag as an individual pattern. She kind of does groups of patterns together, and then she has the videos come with the patterns, and I think that's kind of how she does things, but I haven't checked it out. But a little knitting bag. What I suspect a knitting bag is a bag that has a little hole for the yarn to come through. I think I've kind of seen those before, so I'm guessing that might be what it is. Oh, you found me through Sew Sweetness. Oh, Dawn, that is so awesome. That's cool. Yeah, we had our kits. She does a giveaway on her Facebook Live, and she had our kits on, our embroidery kits on for one of her shows, which is awfully nice. Oh, so okay, so it is part of a bundle. Robin says the knitting bag, it's part of a bundle of 4. Okay. So her patterns are great. They're totally worth it. Oh, you guys, this was if you remember this, oh gosh, you can't see it. Here, I'm going to back out here for you guys. This is one of her patterns. This is I want to say it's the Kissamit. That's what it is. The Kissamit bag. This is one of her patterns here. I did it with all the jean fabric. I mean, I sewed the jean fabric all funny, and I embroidered on it. But this is one of her patterns here. So this is if you've seen me talk about this bag before, this is the same person. This is Sew Sweetness, Sarah from Sew Sweetness. But yeah, I love that bag. That's kind of that bag is my where I store all my scrap embroidery floss. So I've been using that for this blended sampler a lot, just pulling for my scraps. Oh, the Kissamit trinket boxes. And the pattern has 3 sizes, and that's the large one. When I put this up on YouTube, I'll be sure to link to Sarah, to Sew Sweetness for you guys. And I'll try and find this. I'll try and find the this bundle with the knitting thing. I'll look that up later tonight. Ooh, denim would be cute in the new knit or crochet bag she has. Ooh, I'll have to check it out. I do still have a lot of denim from my jean quilt, which also is not finished yet. Oh, another quilt I got to pull out and finish. All right, I'm going to do that. This is my second time doing that decrease. So we decreased one that row, and let's decrease again. So I'm going to knit the 1, knit 2 together. All right, then the yarn over where the yarn goes onto the front, and then we'll knit the next 2 together. So the yarn's got to go all the way around the back again. Sometimes with the fancy stitches, when I'm continental stitching, which is where I have the yarn in my left hand like this, sometimes I need my right fingers to help with the stitches. So that's why you can see me. Sometimes I'll use this hand to help guide the stitches around. I'm not comfortable doing it like with just this hand yet, because I'm used to doing the throwing method with using my right hand to knit. This is kind of new for me to be knitting with my left hand here. It's a different style. Throwing versus continental stitching, knitting. You could be knitting, but your son brought me to his snowmobile race jacket. Oh, and you had to hand sew up a sleeve. Oh, no. Well, mending is good too. Gretchen, I am not sure she sells her patterns and videos individually. I think it's primarily bundles. She may have it individually, but I think, if anything, I think she's turning her individual ones into bundling them with others. I don't know that for sure, but I wouldn't assume that it'll be a single at some time. All right. So you might be seeing me, like, sometimes I'll push all my stitches up on the needle some more, like I'll bunch up all these stitches. That's because, like, if I leave them all like this, you know, soon I get too far away from the edge of the needle to do it, you know. So I gotta scooch all the stitches up a little bit further. So that's what I'm doing every once in a while. And vice versa on this side, sometimes they'll get so bunched up because I keep putting them on that needle, so I gotta move my hand, bring them down a little bit. So it's this little kind of shimmy dance. Like here, I'm starting to feel like, oh, I'm getting really far away from the needle point here. It's time to scooch them up closer to the needle. I was always scared to do that when I started knitting because I was scared I was going to push all my stitches off of the needle. But there, just then, I kind of scooched the needle down. Like here, I just pushed on the needle a little bit, get it down a little further. You'll come up with your own tricks, I'm thinking, for getting the stitches closer. You know, I didn't ever notice really until just now that that's what I do. I do a knit stitch, and then I push the needle down a little bit just to get all these other stitches up a little higher. Oh, some are individual and some are bundled. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'll put a link to Sew Sweetness when we're done here. All right, turn the row around again, the piece. So we're starting to decrease. You can't really tell with the first couple rows that we're decreasing, but soon we will start to see that diamond going the other direction there. Oh, Robin says she's collecting and putting together a recipe book for the So Sweetness group. Oh, that's awesome. That's kind of fun. Yeah, maybe we should continue these little dishcloths, or I'll finish this guy. But if I keep going with these dishcloths over the year here, and we make some gifts out of them, we should put together some recipes that we can print out and put with them too. All right, I'm going to do a row where I'm doing the other knitting method. So I was doing the continental knitting where I have it all in this hand. I'm holding the yarn with my left hand here. I'm going to do the throwing method now, which is how I learned how to do it. And then I'm holding the yarn with my right hand here, and I'm just twisting it around the needle. I kind of think like this is well, maybe I just think that because this is how I learned, but I think this is a good way to learn because you can really see what your yarn is doing. So like for knitting, I'm putting the needle up through the first stitch, and my right needle is going behind in the back. And then I'm taking my yarn and I'm going around that back needle. So around the back needle to the center of the two needles, but towards the back. And then it makes that little kind of loop on there, right? This little loop. And I want to keep that loop. I want to pull it through. So here's that loop still. I'm still have it caught, and I'm pulling it through that stitch that I went through. So here we go. We're going around the back and through the center. And there you can see it there still. I'm going to pull that through. So before I pull my needle all the way through, like if I pull all the way through, then I'm going to lose that stitch, right? So go up through there, go around back, and before I lose that stitch, I'm going to pull it through to the front. And now we got that stitch on this needle, but we need to remove that first stitch off of the left needle. So I'm just going to remove it just like that. So just to do that again, you guys. Well, we got to knit our two together, but I can still show you. So I'm going up. So we're doing two together now. Going around, back, still, and through. I'm going to cut that thread here. That's our new stitch, and push those two off that side. And that's our finished knit stitch like that. All right, yarn over, going through the middle to the front. That's it. And now we're going to continue. We're going to knit these two together. Get up in there. All right, and now we're going to go around back again. Our yarn over is going to stay there. And pull that little bit through, and then those guys come off. You do something weird when you're knitting, Robin says, and if I can remember it right, it's called flicking. Ooh, I'll have to look that up. I think you mentioned that yesterday, and I hadn't heard of that before. Flicking. So here's the throwing method. I'm going into the back of the stitch, I'm basically throwing my whole hand around, and then hooking that little loop that we made and pushing that other one off of the left needle. So I think it's called throwing method just because you are kind of throwing your whole hand around there as if you're, lassoing. You're going to let go of your yarn and lasso something. So I think this is a little bit slower. This is how I learned, so I'm definitely most comfortable with this. Whenever I do fancy stitches, I'm definitely more comfortable doing it with this throwing method. But I do think it takes a little bit longer. It definitely takes longer when you're done with the row, to start up the next row. And it uses a lot more movement of your arm and your hand. Like I'm moving my whole arm here. So I like the continental. I'm trying to get better at that. I just pretty recently learned how to do that. Your tension is tighter when you throw. Dawn, I think mine might be too. I haven't done a real test of that, but I do think mine might be tighter when I do the throwing method as well. And I always tended to have kind of a tight knit, so that's kind of why I like the Continental too. It just makes me knit gentler, I suppose. Oh, I think I missed a question about how do I like the square versus the round. I mean, I'm trying to get a little used to the square now. I like the concept behind why the square needles are more ergonomic. You know, I don't have definitive proof of that yet. But the theory is, you know, with a square needle, I can rest my thumb flat on the needle, or any point of contact. I can rest flat on the needle, versus on a round one, you know, let's pretend this point. Well, you know, I think I have a round one right here. Hold on, you guys. So with a round needle, your hand, your thumb, and your fingers are on, you know, the rounded bit there. So it's kind of like you got a sharp point of contact right on where you're holding it there, you know, because it's round, so you only have like the top part of the arc is where you're holding it, and so it's a smaller surface area basically that you're touching. And you know, now holding this needle after holding this for a while, I definitely can tell that it's a smaller point of contact that my fingers are touching compared to this where I get this whole flat surface. Wow, yeah, it is. It does feel quite different. And you know what? I do have to say, I think it is more comfortable with this flat surface. Like here, I definitely feel like I'm putting pressure on those 2 points. And if you're knitting for hours and hours and hours, you know, that could maybe cause a little bit more repetitive stress, or just like, you know, nerve kind of feelings than this flat surface. So that's the idea, that the flat surface, you have more spread out contact basically. And, you know, with the idea is that, you know, if you're doing the repetitive small points of contact, that can run up your arm and just, you know, hurt your nerves a little bit over a long period of knitting. So I don't know. If you're doing a marathon knitting, then maybe the flats are the way to go. I just thought I'd give them a try. It was a new fandangled toy. But just touching this flat one versus the round, it does feel good to like lay my thumbs flat on here. I mean, I'm still getting used to holding it because I kind of roll over to the points a little bit sometimes, but I think if I practice, I think I'll be able to stay on the flat surface. Still getting used to it for sure. So Linda's asking the difference between a knit and a purl. So we've been doing knit stitches this whole time. When you do a knit stitch puts, you know, if at the basic level of what we're talking about, a knit and a purl, a knit stitch. Here, let me get into the pattern here a little bit. Let me do my couple knits, my knit and my yarn over and my knit. So a knit stitch essentially puts a little ridge made from the stitch. So all these bumps, all these kind of bumps. A knit puts the bump on the back of each row. So every time we do a knit stitch, so you can see I'm taking off the stitch and it's putting that little bump on the back basically. A purl will put that on the front. So if you think about that, with each row, if you can control whether your bumps are on the front or the back, then you can create some pretty patterns. So some really neat patterns. So that's basically the pure difference between them. We could try a few things with this. Why don't we make this? I'll make these next couple of rows kind of goofy here. So I'm gonna do where I knit a row and then purl a row and then knit a row. So in theory, so for the knit ones, I'm putting the loop in the back, like the bump will go in the back. And then if I turn my piece around, then the bump will be in front, right? So if this time I'm putting the bump in the back and I turn it around, now that bump is in the front. So if I purl, then I'm putting another bump, but I'm putting that one in the front. So now we have 2 bumps in the front and not 2 bumps in the back. And then if I turn it again and knit, I will put a bump in the back again. And so we will have a bumpy side and a flat side, if that makes sense. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. And that's that really, I think, pretty stitch that I think people associate with knitting. And so I'll show you what that looks like here in a sec. Let's get to the end of the row and we'll do that. But that's essentially a difference. Knit puts the bump in the back, a purl puts the bump in the front. And you can create patterns by controlling the bumps. Or the loops. Yep, a loop was maybe a good way of saying it. Putting a loop on the back is the bump. I kind of like thinking of it as bumps. Because you have the bumpy side and the not bumpy side. So all right, we got 10 more minutes here. I think we can maybe get a couple rows in so we can see what this looks like. One more stitch. I'm getting a little tangled here. All right, so that was a knit row, right? So for that whole entire row, we put bumps in the back. So now I'm going to rotate because I got to rotate. I got to put this side. I put all the stitches on the right hand here, but now I got to get it in my left hand again to do the next row. So now we've rotated. So now all the bumps that we put in the back are now going to be on the front. So let's purl. Ooh man, I have not purled in a long time. Let's see if I can do this. So I'm gonna do my little border first. So we'll keep our knits going in the border. So I'm gonna knit one and then the purl or the knit 2 together here. Do the yarn over, and I'm gonna do a knit again. So this will just be kind of our little starter border. Oop, I'm gonna lose my thread here. There we go. Yes, so the stitch, what this is called, it's actually called the Stockinette Stitch. Thanks, Barbara. That's when you do the knit, when you switch off the knitting and the purling. So all right, now I'm going to do a purl. So for a purl, you put the yarn in the front. So that's kind of the difference. And you guys, you know what? I think I'm going to do it with the throwing style. And you guys, I just totally recently learned too within the past couple of years that I've been purling wrong my whole life. So let's give this a try again. I'm going to put the thread in the front. So that's the first difference between knitting and purling. Your thread goes into the front. And now, usually for knitting, I put my needle in from the front to the back. Now we're going to put it in the front like this. Okay, so we went to the back for knitting. We're going to go to the front for purling. So now I'm going to go around my needle through the center there. That's what I was doing wrong. I always used to go around, but we're going through the center and wrapping around the front needle. And then we're making that loop, and the loop is coming out the back now, and then we're lifting it off. So here we go. There's our first bump. So that's a purl. The purl is basically thread in the front instead of the back. So let's do that again. Throwing it around through the middle. There, another bump in the front. So I'm going to just keep doing this. So purling with Continental Stitch is way faster too, but I'm going to keep doing it with the throwing method. And we'll take a look at this in a sec here. So we have so here we go. You can start to see the flat side here. So remember we did the knitting, which put the bump in the back, but then we rotated, so now that bump is in the front, and now we're putting a second bump in the front, which leaves a flat back. So we're starting to get this pretty flat stitch here, and that'll be really clear with our next row. Our next row will knit again. So again, we are purling. We did a knitting row, then a purling row, and we'll do another knitting row, and you'll really get to see that flat stitch. And that's what I associated, at least, with what knitting looked like. It looked like one side you had all the bumps, and one side you had all the pretty flat stitches. To me, that's knitting. But in reality, that's knitting one row, purling the next row, knitting the next row, purling the next row. It's trading off knits and purls. All right, I need some more yarn here. Almost to the end, and then we'll go back to knitting right before I do that knit two together, just so that we can keep that kind of border pattern looking the same. So we'll just have a weird chunk of stockinette stitch where we knit and then purl and then knit in the middle of our washcloth here, but who cares? It's fine if a washcloth has a little flat knit purl area. I think it'll still function as a washcloth. All right. Oh wait, I don't have to knit two together here. Let's just keep, well, maybe I should knit here now. I'm trying to think of if I keep that pattern in the middle. Yeah, let's just purl to the end, who cares? All right, I'm gonna purl all the way, I am gonna start knitting here. We're gonna knit these last 4 stitches. All right, so to knit, I put the thread in the back again, and let's just knit these last 4 stitches. Okay, so we did our knit row and our purl row, and now we're gonna do another knit row. So I'm gonna rotate my needles again to get this on the left side. So now we're going to knit, so our bumps will go in the back. So I'm going to do my continental knitting again here. Okay, so let's do our little pattern first. That's the knit 1, knit 2 together, yarn over, and then knit 2 together. Okay, so now we're going to knit to the end. But this, again, remember, we're putting the bumps on the back. Knitting puts the bumps on the back. So I'm going to knit a few here, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So now we have 3 rows that knit, the purl, and the knit, with all the bumps on one side of the fabric and all the flat sides on one side of the fabric. So here's what we get. See, isn't that pretty? We get the rows of just flat stitches here, and that's probably what sweatshirts look like. What if you look really close? This is what knit looks like to me. So can you guys see that? Maybe I'll do one more. Oh, we're almost done with time here. So maybe tomorrow I'll do one more row of, oops, sorry guys, I hit you. One more row of purls and one more row of knits. But there you get that pretty rows of like V's, right? And then on the back, you still get the bumps. So you might wonder why, at least I wondered when I started, why I have bumps on both sides here. It's because I've been knitting every row. So if I knit one row and put all the bumps on the back, and then I rotate it, and then I knit again and I put all the bumps on the back again, then I have a bump row and a bump row and a bump row and a bump row, and that's why it appears to have bumps on both sides here still. But here you can see the bumps are closer together. That's because that's my knit row, my purl row, and then my knit row all having bumps. If you pull these apart, you can kind of see, like, this is my knit row. In the middle where there's no bump, that's my purl, or that where my knit is on the bump is on the other side. And then here's the next row with another bump, whereas these are all closer together. Knit, purl, knit. But anyway, so that's how you get that pretty flat stitch, it's the stockinette stitch, which just means you're knitting a row, purling a row, then knitting a row, and keeping on like that. But yeah, so that would be another way to do this washcloth if you wanted. Just trade off each row. Then you'd have a really pretty bumpy side and a really pretty flat side. That would be adorable. I like doing just all knit because it's less for my brain to do. I don't have to remember that I have to trade off each row, even though you can just kind of look at it and know what to do next. But I don't have to think about that. You know, I just get a knit to the end of the row each time. That's way less brain power for me. But here, when I'm done with this row, we'll take a look at it, and then we'll call it an evening, I think. A few more stitches, and my stitches are getting a little bunched up on this side. Let's shimmy them down. Move these guys up. Oh, your daughter just finished your very first knitting project, arm knitting. So I have not tried that yet. I know that's super popular now, but that might be a really fun way to learn knitting, or like the concepts behind it. But all right, here, I'm gonna do this flat now. So we're a little bit into our decrease, so you can start to see it decreasing. I should count how many stitches we have on now, but like up here at the top is where you can start to see that stockinette stitch pattern where it's flat on one side and then it's bumpy on the back side there. So we'll have like this little flat stripe in our washcloth, but I think that's going to be kind of cute. So maybe we'll do a few more rows of that tomorrow just so you can keep seeing it. But yeah, this is how you can create really fun patterns. So imagine if like this area was bumpy again, and then it's flat and then bumpy. So you can control that, and you can make like a basket weave looking stitch. And I mean, there's so many. Just think of like cross stitch, how each X determines like the look of it. It's the same thing here. Each bump, you can control every single bump on here, right? So imagine that. Imagine controlling every single bump. You could do whole pictures and stuff. One side's bumpy and then one side's flat, like a drawing. If you really plan it out, if you have like a chart that you're going by and you're controlling every single bump. I mean, that's kind of some power as far as a design, right? So that's the basic spiel with knitting. Controlling your bumps. So, all right, you guys, we'll keep working on this one more day, I think. We'll work on this tomorrow, just because it's fun to knit, and you need a break every once in a while. So we're going to do that, and then Thursday we'll be back doing the Splendid Sampler, because it's New Block Thursday. So, all right, I'm going to flip you guys around, and we'll call it a day. All right, so thanks for letting me knit with you guys again. That was fun. So here we go. Here's the bumpy side right at the top there. And if we rotate it around, there you can see the flat side again. See, isn't that pretty? We're starting to get that flat look to it. So we'll continue that a little bit more tomorrow just so you can see it in a bigger kind of patch. And then we'll knit the rest just because I like knitting. So, all right, you guys, I will get this up on YouTube. I don't think I got yesterday's up yet, so I'll get both up on YouTube. I'll make sure to link to Sarah from Sew Sweetness. I'll link to her page as well, so you can check that out. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. I don't know if we'll get this all done, but we got pretty far today again. Maybe we can crank it out tomorrow. Maybe we'll stay a little longer tomorrow and finish it. We'll see. So awesome. Have a great day tomorrow, and I will catch you in the evening. Good night.